find the latest in the world of sports. Ayotunde is standing by.
Many thanks, Belinda. We kick off with women football, and Bayelsa Queens have beaten Rivers Angels by 2-0 to win the Nigeria Women's Football League Champions Shield at the Samson Siasia Stadium. Uzomaka Igwe gave Bayelsa the lead in the 43rd minute when her free kick beat Charity John in goal for Rivers. Veteran Loki Odiri scored the winner for Bayelsa, firing in after a goalmouth scramble. In the English Premier League, Patrick Van Aanholt scored an injury-time winner as Crystal Palace recorded their first ever win over Manchester United Football Club. Ghanaian forward Jordan Ayew gave Palace the lead in the first half, but Daniel James equalised for United with a minute of regulation time remaining. But with the match edging towards a draw, Van Aanholt beat David De Gea at his near post to silence the Old Trafford crowd. In the match of the round, Mo Salah scored twice as Liverpool beat Arsenal 3-1 at Anfield to maintain their 100% record to the start of the season, staying top of the EPL log. Elsewhere, Tammy Abraham repaid Frank Lampard's faith in youth as his 2 goals helped Chelsea to their first win of the season. Southampton beat Brighton, Leicester edged Sheffield, while record signing Sebastian Haller scored twice to help West Ham beat Watford 3-1. And that's a wrap on sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's back to you, Melinda.
And thanks, Ayo. The lawyer for Sudan's former president, Omar al-Bashir, says that he will request for the former leader to be released on bail as his trial on corruption charges continues. Mr. Bashir is charged with illicit possession of foreign currency and accepting gift in an unofficial manner. During the hearing, the judge asked for the bail request in writing and said his office is open to receiving it anytime. The former president weathered many storms, including multiple rebellions, economic crisis, U.S. sanctions, and coup attempts, until he was overthrown by the military in April after mass protests against his 30-year rule. His trial is seen as a test of how serious authorities are about trying to erase the legacy of his rule. 7 world leaders have arrived in France for the G7 summit, which comes as a trade war between the United States and China intensifies. The theme of this year's summit is the fight against inequality. However, the 3-day meeting takes place amidst sharp differences over a host of global issues that risk further dividing a group of countries already struggling to speak with one voice.
World leaders arrive in the Atlantic seaside resort of Biarritz in southwestern France for a G7 summit that will likely expose deep rift over a clutch of issues such as global trade and climate change. The meeting comes at a time a trade war between China and the United States is worsening, and European governments are seeking a way to diffuse tensions between Washington and Tehran. Host of the summit, French President Emmanuel Macron says he hopes to convince G7 leaders to pull back from a trade war that is already destabilizing economic growth around the world.
We must succeed in reaching a de-escalation, in stabilizing things, and avoiding this trade war, which is already taking place everywhere.
Mr. Macron also says he aims to call on world leaders to combat the raging fires in the Amazon. Meanwhile, thousands of anti-globalization and environmental activists joined Yellow Vest protesters and Basque separatists to demand action from G7 and other world leaders. Protesters converged on the nearby town of Onday on the French border with Spain to protest against the economic and climate policies pursued by the world's leading industrial nations and to promote alternatives. The G7 group of nations comprises Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United States. President Macron, who says this year's meeting will focus on the defense of democracy, gender equality, education, and climate change, has invited leaders from Asia, Africa, and Latin America to join them for a global push on these issues.
And the main news again. The Nigerian Air Force today said it killed many insurgents in airstrikes near Sambisa Forest, as the army also intercepted and burned vehicles conveying smoked fish allegedly belonging to Boko Haram terrorists on the outskirts of Maiduguri in Borno State. The army alleged that the terrorists have been making money from the sale of fish. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.